Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Her Power podcast, a space created to educate, empower, and elevate every young woman in every role and season of life. My name is Sydney Ward, Miss Belfast Volunteer 2026, and I am also the founder of the Rise and Reclaim Project, which is an initiative I started to help empower young women against domestic violence and recognize the confidence and power that they already carry within. For every episode, we're going to be sitting down with a variety of female leaders, athletes, title holders, and change makers in our communities to have real conversations about what self-worth, confidence, and empowerment look like in each of their unique roles. Because here at Rise and Reclaim, we believe that when women rise, they don't just grow, they reclaim who they were always meant to be. So let's go ahead and get into this week's episode.
You got it.
Gracelyn is a 23-year-old public health graduate and Miss Davidson County Volunteer with a master's degree from Austin Peay State University. Her platform, Be the One, focuses on mental health awareness and suicide prevention, inspired by personal experience that revealed gaps in rural mental health resources. As an end-of-the-science presenter for the National Alliance on Mental Health, she has educated thousands of K-12 and college students on mental health. Gracelyn combines clinical healthcare experience with funded research on rural mental health disparities, while also heading fundraising efforts for St. Jude's Research Hospital and partnering with the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network and American Diabetes Association. Through her pageant platform, she is integrating mental health conversations into the pageant world, leveraging her title to amplify awareness and create meaningful change. With aspirations to become a board-certified cardiothoracic surgeon, she is committed to making mental health resources and education accessible to all communities. So please welcome this week's guest to Her Power, Gracelyn Eaves.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, of course. I'm excited to have you on. I've only had like a couple title holders on, so I'm excited to talk to more pageant people. And for everybody listening, I like to just explain a little bit about how I know each guest and how I'm connected to them. So Gracelyn and I know each other through the Miss Volunteer America organization. We are both have been local title holders for Miss Tennessee Volunteer. And so we have been competing, both of us at Miss Tennessee Volunteer for the last 3 years, right? Together.
It's been a lot, yeah.
We did the last two. This is the third year together. So just to kind of warm everybody up, just introduce yourself to us. Tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of what initially led you to your pageantry journey.
Yeah, so as you said, I am Gracelyn Eaves. I am 23 years old and feel like I'm getting older by the second. But I absolutely love anything that has to do with service. From a young age, I started serving my community through our local little pageant system. It was the Irish Day pageants, and my mom got me involved in those when I was super young and did them all the way up until I graduated high school. I became Miss Houston County, which is like kind of the highest one that you can get. And then when I went to college, I was like, okay, I'm done with pageants and everything's okay. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into pageantry, a family thing. Me and my sisters, I have 6 sisters and 2 brothers. And so handing down pageant dresses was notorious in our family.
That's funny. I actually just recently found out, I didn't realize you had so many siblings. I did not realize that. Wow, that is cool.
Yeah, it was a big house growing up, so.
Yes, I have 3 siblings, and I feel like it's a lot, so I can only imagine. So kind of to tack onto that, what drew you to the Volunteer America system, or when did you start involving yourself with this system?
Yeah, so it's literally the most hilarious story, but I went to Bethel University for my undergrad, and I saw that there was a Miss Bethel University pageant. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do it. You get scholarship money. They were, advertising $1,000 scholarship. I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. So little did I know that winning that would lead me to Miss Tennessee Volunteer until after being crowned, I was on the stage and Jerry Alford looks at me and is like, you're going to Miss Tennessee. And I was like, what are you talking about? So
you're like, wait, what?
I did not know it at all. And so it was so interesting to see that come to life and just see how much growth I've had. I've began to love the organization ever since I was involved in it. My first local title that I was fortunate enough to win because I was a Bethel student. So it's been the craziest journey, and I never thought that I would be where I'm at today and in the titles that I am, continuing in this organization, even after being on a stage and didn't even know that I was involved in Miss Tennessee.
That's so funny. I always like hearing everyone's story to how they got into the Volunteer America system. Because some people, because I can relate, mine was kind of like that too, kind of like a last minute decision, didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And that is like half the people. And then some people have always known this organization. So it's just fun to see how everybody comes to it.
Yes.
So as a recent graduate, you got your MPH, right?
Yes.
Okay. What area of public health are you the most passionate about, and what initially drew you to the field?
I would have to say research and awareness is what I'm the most passionate about. Growing up, it was very scarce health resources wise in a small town. I grew up in a rural community. I had 92 in my graduating class, and so for other people, they're like, "Oh, I had 500." I'm like, "Oh gosh, okay." But everybody knew everybody, and we always grew up together. But I think the access to care was little. I knew ever since I was 12 that I wanted to be a doctor, and I job shadowed on my first cardiac surgery when I was 16. And then I knew I wanted to be a cardiac surgeon, but having the resources and the ability to shadow or to just even go to your regularly scheduled doctor's appointments, like there was one main doctor office all as we were growing up. So trying to get in there and just that in general was not the easiest. So I wanted to bring access to care in rural communities. So that's kind of what drew me to the field, was just my experience with that and experience of having to travel over an hour outside to another community, whether it was an emergency or a hospital. So that's kind of what I got into it.
Yeah, that is something really interesting that you're bringing up, like rural access to care and resources, because it's something that we are touching. I'm also studying my MPH right now, and so it's like we're very similar topics. And bringing that up, it's just, I am from a big town and a big city, so it's something you don't even think about sometimes, but once you get into it, you learn just how much they are missing, and there is a lack of access out there. So it's great work that you're doing, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, moving from a small town to a now bigger area. I'm in the Nashville area now, was in the Clarksville area for a little while. Yeah, it's not something that people talk about, that people even know is a thing when it comes to that. So I think it's very interesting to see just the differences between the communities and how other people are so comfortable with going to the doctor. And then you're from a small town like mine where you just kind of pick yourself up and dust yourself off, and that's the mentality that's taught. So knowing that access to care is different in areas.
We know that in order to serve other people well, we also have to have that confidence and that empowerment built up in us. And so let's talk a little bit about confidence and self-worth, especially in relation to pageantry. So we often see title holders, and a lot of people think from the outside, they see us very polished, very confident on stage. But we both know that that's not always something that comes so naturally. So what has your personal journey to becoming the confident young woman that you are today? What does that look like?
I would say embracing the failures. I have, from a young age, failed at a lot of things. I had a lot of siblings, so one of us was always good at something and everybody else wasn't. But I will say in pageantry, I'll go back to my first year. I was Miss Bethel University, and I remember going off stage after my talent rehearsal and just bawling my eyes out. Our Miss Tennessee that won that year, Paige Clark, was there for me and comforted me, and I think that honestly stuck with me to stay in the system and to stay a part of this, because I knew that there was a sisterhood and an empowerment that went along with it. But being confident, that first year I definitely wasn't. I wasn't confident in my talent. I wasn't confident in my walk or anything that pageantry came with. But I think embracing that failure of, I just let myself down at talent rehearsal, and then going on to the stage and being able to prove to myself that I can do it, it was very important. And as well as embracing all the other failures and things, I wouldn't even consider them failures. I would say they're hiccups and pauses, because at the end of the day, I feel like God's will is going to be done, and it will show no matter what. And if that's growth in me personally, I can tell you, the girl that stepped on the stage 5 years ago and is now going to step on the stage here in July in a few weeks is completely different, but in the best way.
Yeah, for sure. That is one thing I love about the Volunteer America system, and what I have found to love about it is that it really does, at least I can relate to this, it really has brought out the best version of myself that I didn't even think this person was here, 3 years ago before I joined this organization. So it is really eye-opening to see all these amazing, confident women and then have that instilled back into you as well. So have there ever been moments in your journey where you had some self-doubt, and how did you push through in those moments?
Yeah, I'll go into more of my medical school and education journey with this question. But graduating from undergrad with my biology degree, Bethel is a fairly small college. I was not able to shadow a lot whenever I was there, and there were other different things that were holding me back. I also graduated a year early, so it kind of pushed the timeline very short and thin for me. So medical school is still my end goal, or well, not end goal, but next goal. So I didn't plan to go for my MPH at all. It was honestly a thing that was like, this is a God thing, because it wasn't at all in my plan, and it for sure was God's plan. I actually signed up for my MPH probably the last day where they were accepting applications. And I remember getting emails from the professors like, we want you, we want you. And so I was so excited. But going to Austin P for my master's was truly life-changing. I was able to start my own research study and get it funded through the program. And I think public health also gave me an alternate perspective on medicine, because wanting to become a doctor, now I feel like I know more of a well-rounded area of the healthcare system, and I feel like I will in turn be able to provide better care to patients in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can relate a little bit in that I got my undergrad in health science. I initially thought I wanted to go to nursing school, and kind of public health was a field I didn't really look too much into until I was looking at graduate school. And it is really interesting because it's a completely different perspective from like the science background. It's more of like a social behavioral look at it. So that is great that you do have that broad knowledge and that you can still apply that to what you want to do.
Yeah, all my professors always said, you don't find public health finds you. They always said that quote every time, because everybody that I talked to, all my cohort, all my classmates, like none of us had plans to become in public health. And so now, like, some of them are directors at the Tennessee Department of Health and like doing amazing things. And so I think pushing through those moments, though, was knowing that at the end of the day, I know whatever experience that I'm going to have is going to make me a better person and a more well-rounded individual. And so I think that's kind of what pushed me through, though it was like questioning and doubting myself and where I'm supposed to be and if this plan was right for me.
Yeah. Kind of with the rise of social media, we are all online, and especially as pageant girls, we're posting a lot and we're in those environments surrounded by a lot of strong, confident women. Kind of how do you handle comparison?
I always say, and especially a competition aspect of pageantry, that I'm not comparing myself to other women or trying to be in competition with other women. I'm simply in competition with the last version of myself that I put on the stage. And I have brought that into every year, and I feel like it's truly just made me have a clear mind, knowing that the Gracelyn that stepped on the stage 5 years ago was young and very inexperienced and did not practice or perfect things in the way that she should have. And like now knowing that I can go on that stage and be able to bring a better version of myself is truly the biggest award of all. Like, the crown doesn't even matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I'm still going to be Gracelyn, and I'm still going to put my best foot forward, but it's important, and the best thing is just that I became better than who I was.
Yeah, that is something I do love about pageantry, and a lot of people bring up the fact that it is very subjective, and while that is true, I think that's also kind of what can make it so unique as well, is because there is no way to compare yourself directly to another contestant. It's not really a competition in the sense. It is more of a personal journey and your personal growth along the way. So have the people and the individuals that you serve and the work that you do in your community, has that changed your perspective or your opinion on your own self-worth and confidence over the years?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I feel like each person and experience and moment that I have is impacting me in a way that I might not even know when it happens. These people that are volunteers that I'm able to volunteer with, that have been doing this for 15, 20 years, they have so much insight and wisdom and stories that are truly touching. And I would say any experience and moment like that is truly just making it all worth it in my eyes. And I know that it's for a greater purpose than just for myself or the title or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I love seeing the people behind the scenes, like when we show up sometimes just to volunteer, and all the people that have been there the whole time making it happen without any recognition. Can you share a moment maybe with some of these people, or realized when your actions and your leadership was genuinely impacting a community and making a difference, and kind of how that felt for you?
Yeah, I'll have to bring up state last year. For my talent, I did a personal monologue and a painting, which the monologue was actually a personal story of suicide, and how I sort of played a part in that story of preventing it. And it was a story that I didn't want to tell any of my other years in pageantry. That was a really hard story to bring to myself and be able to say without bawling and breaking down. But little did I know the impact that it would make. I had multiple people reach out to me after state last year, and on Messenger or DM on Instagram, they had found me and just told me that their story inspired them to share their personal story, or one of, somebody in their life that had an encounter like that. And so I think that to me had to be like the moment where I realized that my action and what the words that I said on that stage like actually impacted and made a difference in other people's lives. So I'm just so grateful that I was able to influence other people to, come out with their stories and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That is the one thing that I do love, and I wish more title holders got to experience too, was sometimes we put our head down and do all this work and we think no one is actually seeing it, or no one is going to see this. And so I think it's amazing that even something like talent, which you wouldn't think is somewhere you can bring in your serve and talk about your leadership or your impact, it was great to see that you could bring it into that. And then on top of that, there were people that saw that, even if they weren't there in person, and it impacted them. So that's really amazing. I love that.
Yeah, being someone who had always been told that like it wasn't a good idea to do my talent, that I did, and all the things, and just knowing that the impact was there. Like the whole week leading up to state, I'm nervous. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh, this is a terrible talent. This is not good. Like all the things. And then for me to just receive that after, and it was not even that it was the best talent, it just told a story, and it just was personal to me, but also encouraged people to reach out to the ones that they love and check in on them and be the one for them in moments like that.
How do you balance being a leader while you were also, a student with a very busy schedule and a title holder, your professional career? Kind of where do you find the time for you?
Yeah, so I love taking evening walks. Those are probably my favorite time, where I'm just able to pray and talk to God, do devotions. I love that as well. I would have to say going to the gym is kind of my escape too. Even when I'm feeling down, I feel like a gym empowers me and shows me that I'm stronger than what I think I am, whether that's lifting a bigger weight or just even pushing through a longer workout for the day. It's just something that kind of picks me up, but also reaching out and leaning on to those people that are in my life that are encouragers and supporters, and they are able to just push me through and let me know that like, hey, it's okay. We know you're busy. We know you don't have time, but we really appreciate you and like love what you're doing and everything. So I think those are probably the best ways that I take time for myself, or just even reaching out to a nice friend to hear a couple encouraging words.
So at Rise and Reclaim, one of our main goals is helping women recognize their worth and what they already carry within them inherently. And so that kind of brings me to my next topic, which is a little bit about empowerment. And so what does the word empowerment mean to you personally?
I would have to say, growing up with six sisters, it was always just being there and being able to push people through in times that they need. And I think that looks different no matter the person or the way. I think it is truly unique to each individual. But empowerment to me looks different than to everybody else. But I know I'm a physical touch person. I love hugs, and I love all the messages and the words. And
have there ever been specific women or role models in your life that have helped you become the confident and empowered woman that you feel like you are today?
Yeah, I mean, my mom pushed through, and having so many girls and just children in the house, it was shocking. She was full time, and I was like, I don't even know how you do it. Even now, like looking back, I'm like, I still don't know how she did it, but she's superwoman in my eyes for sure. And my grandma would probably be my other one. But yeah, so I would have to say she's just ready to continue to fight every single day and knows that life is worth living, and the joy that comes out of her just from the experiences that she had. She always is there to pick me up and empower me to continue to keep going in everything that I do.
I love that. I always love hearing everybody's like strong. You know, we all are influenced by strong women in our lives, and moms and grandmas are some of the best. And so I love hearing everyone's personal stories because moms truly are superwomen. I think about that all the time. I don't know how my mom handled all of us when we were young. We were crazy. So what is the lasting impact that you hope that you leave with your service and the work that you've done with all your titles and your platform, especially in relation to young women?
I would have to say that the one word that I led with this year was ambitious. And I want people to look back at my journey and through my service, but also through pageantry and fundraising and all the different things that we are as title holders and we do as title holders. I want them to look back and be like, she was ambitious. She never said no to an opportunity. She never, didn't go to something that she was supposed to be at. She was always there. She was always smiling. She was always happy to be there. And she was always just ready to put in the work and get her boots on the ground. So I would have to say that.
So, in your opinion, what has been the most rewarding part of either you can talk about your professional career or in pageantry?
I'll give a little bit of mixture of both. But I think in professional wise, coming from a small town where you either went to a trade school or if you went to college, you always ended up coming back home and either, dropping out of college or getting a hometown job or something like that. Professionally wise, I never thought I would be where I'm at. I never thought I would have a master's degree. I was a first generation college student and now first generation master's student as well. So just having those opportunities where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. I've never, I didn't know that I could do this, especially coming from where I did. And in pageantry, I would have to say just the little girls who come and look up to me, or even going back on my suicide prevention painting and monologue, the messages that I received after that, just knowing that what I'm saying and doing truly does make an impact. And I know you mentioned earlier how we as title holders do a lot without recognition, and I don't need it at all by any means, and I would be doing the same exact thing if I didn't have it. But it is nice to know that it's impacting other people, and I would have to say that's the most rewarding part.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to say, like, for pageantry, I definitely think as well, one of the most rewarding things is, like, those tiny little comments that people will make to you after an appearance or after a workshop or something service-wise. And they don't think that it means that much, but in that moment, it's sometimes exactly what you need to hear when you're pushing through and doing all that work. And so it is nice to kind of get those even small messages or little things that remind us to keep going and that we're doing the good work.
Yes, just even a you look good at like something, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Like I've took time and effort to put myself together, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're like, I've just had the longest day of life. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Looking back, what is something that you think younger Gracelyn may have struggled with and that she would see now today in you that she would be proud of?
I would have to say just the representation. Again, coming from a small town where most people were Caucasian, growing up, I was bullied a lot and talked down upon for being an Asian American Pacific Islander woman. And fun fact, I didn't even know about my heritage until I was 17. And my biological father came into my life. So navigating that as a teenager, and also just the fact of looking different and being different than everyone else around me, was pretty hard. I would have to, tell younger Gracelyn that you are going to make it and you're going to be somewhere one day. And it doesn't matter what other people say about you. It matters truly how you feel about yourself. I remember I had curly, wavy hair my whole life, insisted on straightening it. There were just multiple other factors that, like, I would always mention little comments about myself, like, I wish my eyes would open more when I smile or something like that. And those things were just diminishing me and my confidence as I was growing up. But knowing now that I'm the woman that I am because of what I went through, I wouldn't change a thing for the world, but I would just encourage other people to be kinder.
Yeah, I love hearing that perspective because it's not always something that you get to talk about, but I love that you're embracing exactly who you are and your identity just as you are. You don't need anything else. What advice would you give to a young woman who's maybe out there listening and might be struggling with her confidence or even might be considering a pageantry journey herself? What advice would you give her?
Yeah, I would say go for it. These impacts and the things that you learn from pageantry have truly made me a better woman. And I know that pageantry affects every woman that is in a system or has competed in one before in a positive way. At the end of the day, I know no matter what competition I'm in that I can take something positive away from it. And whether that's just me presenting the best version of myself and feeling confident about myself, or even just other people encouraging me along the way, I would definitely have to say that go for it, compete in the pageant, prove to yourself that you can do it. Not a lot of women think that they could do it. They could walk on in a swimsuit on stage, or that they could, find a talent and compete in talent if they don't already have one. And I think the fear honestly stops a lot of women. And I would have to say, just go for it. You will never regret anything, and especially putting yourself out there, because if one door opens, another door closes. And I think this would be a great door for you to open for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I can say, as somebody who was reluctant to join pageantry just because from the outside, you view pageantry one way until you're in it and then you truly understand everything that it is. But the volunteer, not to recruit people to Miss Volunteer America, but I will. It is such an amazing space. Like, it is so welcoming. I've seen every kind of woman, every walk of life through there, and it is just so amazing to interact with different people and learn not only about yourself, but about them and the impacts that they have on you as well. So if you ditto what Gracelyn said and just go for it, because there's also, you can only do this for so much time. That's what I've noticed as I've gotten older too. Those opportunities are only there for so long. So while it's there, take advantage of it and go for it.
And go get that scholarship money.
Yes. So for my last question, my platform Rise and Reclaim is built on 3 words, which is educate, elevate, and empower. So which one of those 3 resonates most with you in your season of life right now, and why?
I have to say elevate. I'm in a loose season of life where I just graduated with my master's in December. I'm just in a waiting period of waiting to apply to medical school and waiting to, potentially get another job, transitioning out of my other one that was more public health oriented to go back towards medicine. So I would definitely say elevate and pushing myself to just continue to do the right things, even with when no one's watching, have integrity and put my best foot forward every day. I feel like that has been important in making sure that I'm taking care of myself, but also making sure that I'm preparing myself better for the future.
Yeah, I love that. We haven't had a lot of people pick elevate, so whenever people do, I'm like, yes, because I love that one. It's like my favorite. So. Well, Gracelyn, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Her Power Today. I've loved hearing about your journey, both in public health, leadership, service, and of course, everything that you've done with your title and in the Volunteer America system. So I hope our listeners will walk away just encouraged by your perspective and your confidence. And thank you for making a difference in so many lives in your community. And thank you for chatting with me today.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yes. And I get to see you so soon. To all of our listeners, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Her Power podcast. I hope that today's conversation was a great reminder of service and leadership and the impact that it can have, even in the smallest of communities. A huge shout out to Gracelyn again for coming on and sharing a little bit about her public health and her pageantry journey with us. It was super inspiring, and she is such a kind soul, so I really appreciate her coming on and having a conversation with us. So to all of our listeners, we will see you next time on Her Power, and remember that your power is already within you. Bye.